Hello and welcome to Module 6 in our Django series. This module is all about the Django template language, and this is part 1 of 3 for this module. We begin by revisiting views, questions, how our web page is delivered, and of course the answer is through views. What is a view? And you may recall a view is a Python function. How does Django connect a URL to a view using the URL configuration? What is the function of the URL configuration to map URL patterns to the views? Now let's go ahead and create another view. For that, come to your command prompt, change directory to your virtual environment, activate the environment, and start Visual Studio Code. Come straight to your views.py file. So here, def student detail, and it's going to take request and an argument student ID. Within this view, we just say return HTTP response, and that's going to be a string %s and %student ID. Now, of course, we need to wire this view. So come to your urls.py file, make sure there's a comma there, and put in path, and this will be student / and now we're going to pass that argument as part of the root. So this is going to be the keyword argument str, because our student ID, remembers, a character field. Student ID, close those angle brackets, and another / views dot student detail, comma, name equal to student detail. Right? Now we need to go and start the server. So change directory to your container folder and type in pymanage.py, run server to start the server. Go to your browser, type in localhost / the app name / student and S001. And there we have the message. But what if we wanted a more detailed view? Maybe a view that shows us names of all students, right? So let's now go back to our views.py file, and we write another view. We'll call that all students, and that's going to take the request object, and here we say student list equal to student dot objects dot order by, so that we have the list ordered by student ID, and we want the names separated by a comma. So output equal to comma dot join, and that will be s dot student name or s in student list. Now we have a squiggly there indicating we need to import student. So from dot models import student, right? And then of course we've got to return HTTP response, and we're going to return output. Okay, now we've got a wire in this view. So come to your urls.py file, make sure there's a comma there, and put in the path. That is going to be student list / comma views dot all students, comma name equal to student list. Check that the server is running. Go to your browser and type in there student list. And there we have the names of the students separated by commas. But there's a problem in this code for the view that we just wrote. What is the problem? Well, this is Python, right? So every time we change the view, we'll have to edit this Python code. This is where the Django template system comes into play. So let's talk about the Django template system now. But what is a template? And a template is nothing but a file that contains static HTML and special syntax, which we will look at shortly. Django comes with built-in backends for its own template system, which is called Django Template Language, and for another popular template engine called Jinja 2. But of course, you can avail of backends for other template languages from third parties, as Django provides a standard API for loading and rendering templates, irrespective of the back end. Now, the admin site that we looked at in the last session uses Django template language. Now come back to your code and to the settings file, right? That's the project settings file. And if you look at the template setting, you can see app directories is set to true. What this means is that for every installed app, and if we're talking about templates, Django will look for the templates in the templates directory. And we'll talk about the template loader system shortly. But talking about the constructs now that are recognized by the Django template engine, these are variables and tags. And there are two more that we'll come to again shortly. All templates are rendered with a context. But what is a context? A context is nothing but a Python dictionary-like object which maps keys to values. So what happens then during rendering? During rendering, variables are replaced with values and tags are executed. Now let's take a deeper look into these constructs that are recognized by the Django template engine. We have variables which will output values from the context. We have tags which will output content but can also be used as control structures. We have filters that can transform the values of our variables and tags, and we have comments which will be ignored and therefore not rendered. Now, talking about variables a little more in detail, variables output a value from the context. As we know that the context is a dictionary-like object that maps keys to values. So if I have a context like this and I have a template like that, dog name and cat name need to be enclosed within double braces, right, representing interpolation. So what will happen when this template is rendered? Dog name will be replaced with Yuki and cat name will be replaced with Ginger. So I hope variables are clear. Moving on now to tags. Now we have block tags. They're written like this. And block tags allow us to use template inheritance, one of the most powerful parts of the Django template engine. To give you an example, if we have a parent template like this and a child template like that, you can see we have two block tags in the parent template and we have two block tags in the child template. What will happen here is the first block tag in the child template will override the first block tag in the parent template, replacing the contents, therefore, of the block in the parent template. Similarly, the second block tag in the child template will override the second block tag in the parent template, replacing its contents. So I hope you get the idea. What if the child template has just one block tag, for example, the block content tag? Then what will happen is Django will retain the parent's block title and then of course replace the parent's block content with the child's block content. Next, we talk about the comment tag. This is the way it's written. Everything between or within comment and end comment will be ignored. Then we have the CSRF tag. This is the way it's written. And this is Django's own CSRF protection. Remember, CSRF refers to cross-site request forgery attacks. We then have the for tag, and that's the way it's written. And this allows us to loop over items in a list. We have the if tag, and that's the way it's written. And of course, this allows us to have conditional output. Right? So I hope you're aware now of all the tags. We come to filters. We use the pipe symbol on the keyboard to apply a filter. So a filter like this one will give us a student name in lowercase. The truncate words filter will give us the first 40 words of the teacher bio variable. And then we have the cut filter, which of course will remove spaces from a string. Now let's look at comments. We can have single line comments and we can have multi-line comments. This is the way a single line comment will be written in the template, and this is the way multi-line comments are written. Again, everything within comment and end comment will be ignored. Let's look at now the Django template loader system and how that works. We already saw that by default app dirs is set to true. And because of this, Django looks in the template subdirectory for the templates. Having this template subdirectory allows that templates for individual apps be stored there and thus distributed with the apps. Now let's take, for example, you have two apps in one project. You have app 1 and app 2, and both of these apps have got a template by the same name. Now let's say you want Django to load template 1 from app 2. But what Django is going to do, it's going to look into the template subdirectory of app 1 first. And because it finds template 1 there, it will load template 1 for app 1 rather than what you wanted, which was the template 1 from the app 2 subdirectory. To resolve this, we use template namespacing. Come back to your code, and within the app directory now, create a folder, right-click, new folder, and we'll call that templates, right? Within templates, we create another folder and we name this folder by the name of the app. So school app, right? And then within this school app folder, we create a new file. We're going to call that student detail.html. Press enter. We start with the if tag. So if student list is not empty, that is. Don't forget the percentage signs. Django is very fussy about them. Then we have an unordered list tag, that's HTML of course. And within that, we'll have percentage for S in student list. And of course, again, remember the percentage signs. We'll have a line tag here. And within that, we'll have our double braces. And we'll specify a student, or rather S dot student name. Okay. Now we've got to put in an end for. So percentage end for. And here we'll put in an else. So percentage else. If the list is empty, we just put in a paragraph tag there. Now, of course, we've got to put in an endif. So percentage endif. Now we need to modify our all students view. So come back to our views.py file. I'm going to comment this out so that you have it for your reference. Put in a comment here. And we can take this same line. We have template, a variable equal to loader dot get template. And that's going to be school app / student detail dot html. Right? That's the name of our HTML file. We'll have context equal to, and this of course is a dictionary. So here we say student list. So that's the key. And the value is student list. And now we return HTTP response template dot render. Within brackets, we specify context, comma, request. So template.render takes the context as well as the request and then returns our HTTP response. Now we have a squiggly there indicating we need to import loader. So at the top, from Django.template, import loader. Now that we've modified the view, remember it's already wired in. So check that the server is running. Go to your browser, refresh this page. And there we have the names of the students. Come back to your code. Instead of using this, we can use render as a shortcut. So I'm going to comment this line out now. And here we'll put in a comment. And here we'll say return render. And that's going to take request, comma. Now here we'll specify the HTML file name. So school app / student detail .html, comma, context. Okay, so we don't really need this particular line. Now we should have the same result. So let's go and check. There we have it. Now let's go back to our code and talk about error handling. So we're going to have another function here, and that's going to take the request object and the student ID. Here we say try a student equal to student dot objects dot get pk equal to student ID. We say here except student dot does not exist, then raise HTTP 404, and we say here, so we've got to import HTTP 404, and that will come from Django.http. So here, comma, HTTP 404. And then, of course, we've got to return render request. Now here, we'll put in the HTML file name and then we'll create it. And of course, we've got to send in context. So that will be, right? We now need to create the HTML file. So within the school app, we'll say new file, and we'll call that get student detail.html. And here we'll have h1 double braces student name. You can just have a paragraph tag, and within that we say we need to now wire that view in. That's this particular view. So come to your app urls.py file And here, put in a comma and say path, get student. We need to specify the argument, the keyword argument that is, so str student ID / comma views dot get student details comma name equal to get student details. Right? So now check that the server is running. Go to your browser, and here we say get student / S001. And there we have the details. Let's try a student that does not exist, S020. And you can see we get our message there. That's the same message we put in to our view. Okay. Now there's a shortcut that we can use. Instead of using HTTP 404, we can use get object or 404. I'll just comment this out. And here we say student equal to get object or 404, and we say student comma pk equal to student ID. Return render request comma. Now we have a squiggly indicating we've got to import get object of 404. So from Django.shortcuts import get object of 404. And now we can run this and see the result. Check your servers running. Go to the browser. Try get student S002, for example. And we have the student details. Try a student does not exist. 30. And you see no student matches the given query. Right? So that's about get object of 404. Now let's talk about the templates that we're going to have in our project. We're going to have the base.html. This will be the skeleton, if you will, or the parent template. And then we'll have principals message, our team, gallery, about, enrollment, and teacher detail. Right? We'll start writing these templates in the next session. This ends part 1 of module 6. So till the next time, take care. Bye.